I'm fighting a cold, so I'm not sure how much talking I'm going to do, which probably is going to make a lot of you happy. More doing than talking. But one of the things I want to do is start taking a look at this 038 kit that I have. Came in the mail. I was just kind of curious, so this is kind of an unboxing, and I think what I'm going to do is try to start building some of it. The cases, they look pretty nice. They really do. And one thing I like about this old saw already is the size of the bearings. Number one, they're steel cage bearings. Look at those things. You know, separate seals. I like that. I don't like those combination deals. Same here where you have the big old bearing. I think it's a 6203. Now, the cylinder I'm not nearly as happy with. The plating looks like it's just peeling there. And there's a spot on the side. Yeah, where it's right down there where it looks like there's a nick right in the plating. So I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm going to put it together and make it run. You know that? Meanwhile, I'm going to order a better top end. I think what I'm going to do is take the die grinder and kind of work these edges back a little bit to make them look a little bit better. But it looks like the plating is actually chipped. So, but the casting itself looks beautiful. Now, I've seen some issues with the plating on the Farmertec stuff recently, and this is no exception. I don't know what's going on there. It might be worth those people who are connected to ask. But on this cylinder, it's got a huge exhaust, large transfers, you know. The intake is kind of small, but I think we're going to work on that some. But just it looks to me like a beefy, strong design. And my guess is this is the kind of design and the kind of thing that made steel famous, you know. I do notice that the pickup is, I'm going to have to put that filter on before I put the cases together. And here's the crank. But like that, look at the size of that rod bearing. And the crank itself actually looks quite nice with this aftermarket crank. Chamfered, both sides. Remember those bosses we see on the 66s that are, or 660s that are up here? Look at that. This is a much nicer looking crank. So, the cases and the crank, I'm liking. I really do. I may go off and buy a different top end for it because I think the saw deserves to be, you know, built as best as I can. But the rod, the crank, cases, they look beautiful. They really do. Look at that. Those are chamfered, so it'll make it easier to get those through the bearings. You know? Just a lot of stuff I like about this kit. It has the older design oil pump with a big gear. Look at that thing. You know? My hunch is the 030. I'm not a steel person. I'm learning a lot about steels. And actually one of the things I'm enjoying about these kits is they're teaching me as much about steel as anything else. I'm a Husqvarna type, so I never really spent a lot of time with these. I know a lot of people don't understand that and can't imagine doing anything different, but really not. And I'm not sure I like this clutch arrangement. You know, I much prefer to have a ring sprocket. But again, it harkens back to an older design is my guess. check out that needle bearing. Look at that thing. You know? So I'm assuming that drives the oil pump. So, you know, basically what happened with the 038 is it got obsoleted by the 044, you know, 046 series. And it's probably stuff like this that got upgraded to make it simple and drop some weights, my guess. Don't know for sure yet, but we'll find out. But it definitely looks like it's kind of got a more modern layout with a cylinder and crank, but then things like the clutch and oil pump and, you know, harkens back to an earlier time. The other thing I noticed was on the pull start on these, there's a lot of metal in the pull start, you know. So yet again, the basic design is obviously robust and rugged, and the execution on this saw so far I've been impressed. Got rings. So I think what I'm going to do is throw some wood on the wood stove and set these right on the wood stove and just use the heat differential method to put these cases together, you know. Boy, I wonder whether or not a Husky tool will work on that crank. You know something? We're going to find out. Oh, check that out. So, on my final assembly, I'm going to be able to use the Husqvarna tool. You know, when I pull the... That's going to be quite... Ah! No kidding. Yeah, that's a 6202 bearing in there. So, interestingly enough, not only can I use Husqvarna puller, but I could use my Natchies in here if I wanted to increase the quality of the bearing on the flywheel side. This looks like a 6203. Yeah, this is a 6203. So that's a larger bearing for the PTO side. So I like it. I mean, I really like this. I like what I'm seeing here. Now, if I can come up with a decent top end, I mean, we're going to run this just because we can, but I'm telling you right now, this is not long for my world. We're going to put it together just to show that it runs, but I'm going to get a better top end than that. I'm not pleased with that at all. But look at the older combustion chamber design, where it sort of works its way to kind of a taper and then to the chamber itself. Alright, that kind of just dropped right in there. So, I really didn't have to cool that down very much. And I really didn't have to heat the cases up that much, about maybe 150-degree differential, and it pretty much just slid right in there. Okay. We'll see if that's enough. I'm just going to put this thing right together and see if I could use the Husqvarna tool. Wouldn't that be cool? Alright, let's see if there is a way to blend Husqvarna and steel technology. Oh, this is just going to be choice. Why does this feel like it's going too easy? Should never be this easy. Something's gotta not work right. That's it. So there you have it. The Husqvarna puller shop tool on a steel 038. I think that's gotta be a first on YouTube. With a guy who could barely croak for a voice. That's a good show, right? Put these together and let's see if I can tap that crank a little bit, maybe. I mean, the heat method got most of it through. Just, you know, dropped it right in there. Like it was designed to work that way, and then the puller did the hard part. And I'm not seeing any problem with the seals. I'm happy with that. Alright, here's your cases. I figured while we're listening to Axl Rose pass a kidney stone, we can put together the top end.